With 36,000 officers and a $10 billion budget, the New York Police Department is massive. So massive, in fact, that former Mayor Michael Bloomberg once called it, quote, the 7th largest army in the world. It's an incredible stat, especially considering it's not true at all. The 7th largest army in the world is Vietnam's, and it's about 10 times larger than the NYPD, which actually isn't even the largest police department in the world, being far outnumbered by forces in South Africa and China. But facts have never stopped the NYPD before, and they aren't going to now. You know what else doesn't stop the New York Police Department? The confines of the city of New York, which is why the NYPD has officers stationed in these 14 countries, all of which, you may notice, are not located in the city of New York. This is thanks to the International Liaison Program, a phrase I've misspelled every time I've typed it because it turns out liaison has a second I in it. No one knows how that second I got there, but I can tell you how the International Liaison Program got there. As you may be aware, 9/11 happened. It was, of course, very bad, and then because America is America, we decided to honor that tragedy by making bizarre and terrible policy choices. Post 9/11, the NYPD expanded to include a number of counterterrorism efforts, mostly under the NYPD Intelligence and Counterterrorism Division. As part of those efforts, then NYPD Commissioner Raymond Kelly and then Deputy Commissioner for Intelligence David Cohen started a program that would station NYPD officers abroad, starting with Tel Aviv, Lyon, and Singapore. The idea was that these officers, embedded in local police departments, would be able to learn about how terrorist attacks abroad were both being conducted and being prevented, and relay that information to the NYPD to improve their own operations. They'd also be able to gather intelligence about any potential foreign threats to New York City. The program has since expanded, and NYPD officers are now stationed in 14 cities in 12 foreign countries, although apparently these days the officers are focused less on terrorism and more on solving, quote, other crimes. A delightfully vague phrase, especially when we're talking about police officers operating thousands of miles from their jurisdiction. Now, if you're a New Yorker thinking to yourself, wait a minute, my tax dollars are being spent to send police officers to Singapore? What a waste of money. I expect the city of New York to spend my money better than that, on things like a staircase that costs $30 million. I have good news for you. The International Liaison Program is actually privately funded via the nonprofit New York City Police Foundation, which has allowed it to largely avoid government scrutiny. Although, now you might be thinking, well, okay, I know I was annoyed before when I thought it was my money, but private funding seems maybe also bad? You know, having privately funded New York police officers gallivanting around the Middle East? Like, what are these donors' interests? What influence do they have? But come on, let's be reasonable. The donors are probably fine. It's not as if the New York Police Foundation would accept a donation from, say, the government of the United Arab Emirates, and it's certainly not as if that donation would be for $1 million and that it could be proved in these documents from The Intercept and was later confirmed by Susan Birnbaum, president of the Police Foundation, because, I mean, that would be crazy if all of that was true, right? As you've probably already gleaned from the firestorm that I imagine is happening in the comments section, the International Liaison Program has both critics and supporters. Supporters have noted that the program has been useful in handling a number of crimes, including one notable example where a man implicated in his child's killing in New York attempted to flee to Bangkok, and the NYPD officer in Singapore was able to get to the Bangkok airport in time to intercept him. And after, for example, the 2008 terror attacks in Mumbai, liaison officers were able to gather intelligence about how the bombings were done and relay it back to New York so they could be prepared for any similar attacks. Critics, on the other hand, have been more critical. It turns out that the FBI and CIA hate the International Liaison Program, which isn't too surprising given that federal intelligence agencies have a vested interest in New York City police officers not running around in foreign countries doing stuff where they have no jurisdiction. It's kind of like if you were in charge of security at Disney World, and anytime a crime happened that you needed to deal with, the night security manager from a Taco Bell in Canada showed up and attempted to investigate it. The NYPD, though, seems to have developed this program using the NYPD is equivalent to the Army and Marines logic used in the movie Men in Black. And often local officials aren't big fans either. After a 2005 bombing in Bali, which was the work of an Indonesia-based group called Jemaah Islamiyah, NYPD officers showed up on the scene, prompting, quote, astonishment and irritation from the Indonesian National Police. The officers ultimately had to be told to go home by Mom, who in this case was the regional security officer, the US Embassy official whose actual job it is to liaise with foreign law enforcement. So, on the one hand, the International Liaison Program is a sort of bizarre pet project of the NYPD, privately funded, outside of their real jurisdiction, and continually causing ire from the US agencies and local authorities that are actually supposed to handle this stuff. But on the other hand, if NYPD officers are abroad and not in New York, that's a few less people who can give me parking tickets when I forget to move my car for street cleaning. So, you know, pros and cons. Now look, if you're interested in New York, you absolutely have to read the greatest book ever written about New York City, Robert Caro's The Power Broker. It's a biography of Robert Moses, who used unelected positions to exert more influence on New York City than almost anyone in history through massive infrastructure projects that fundamentally shaped the city. It won a Pulitzer Prize, it's one of the greatest biographies of all time, and is also incredibly long. So the perfect way to experience it is through the audiobook version on Audible. As an Audible member, you get access to a massive library of audiobooks, exclusive Audible originals, podcasts, and so much more. For me personally, Audible is such a great way to learn things when I'm on the go, which, if you haven't noticed, is a lot these days. New members can try Audible for free for 30 days. Just click the button on screen, go to audible.com/HAI or text HAI to 500-500. When you do that, you'll not only get access to this incredible library of audio content, you'll also be helping support the channel.